spending, savings, and borrowing. Okay. Now, as far as spending goes, what is spending? Sometimes we even use it as consumption. Okay. Spending is exchanging money for goods and services. Okay. It could be consumption on durable goods. I hope you know what durable goods are, or consumer services like getting a haircut and stuff, etc. So that's what spending is. You exchange you exchange money for goods and services. Okay. Now, what is savings? Well, savings is setting money aside instead of spending it or consuming it. Now, you can save money in various ways. You can just simply keep it at your home in your money box or in your house, or you can keep it in the bank. Okay? So there are various ways how you can save money. What do you save for? Example, for some people it could be for, you know, holidays, or to buy something in the future like car or a house or retirement, stuff like that. Okay. Money can be saved at home or in the banks. So basically, this is what happens. Equation एक बना के मैं दिखाता हूँ. This equation is important for you. When you earn an income, you can consume it and you can save it, isn't it? uh, Incomes के लिए economics में you use Y, consumption के लिए we use C always, and S is for savings. This is your equation, very very important equation. So this is what you do with the income that you earn. Now they say if you are saving more, probably your consumption is going to go down. You follow it? If your saving goes up, your consumption is likely to go down. The opportunity cost of saving is what you give up in consumption. Okay, I'll write this down on the side. The opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost? The next best alternative. If you save the money, the opportunity cost of saving is giving up consumption today. That is a very, very important statement that you should know. Generally, I do ask at this point कि savings और investment में क्या फर्क है? So, investment is basically that you put the money somewhere in which you expect to earn future incomes. Okay? Savings, you just put the money aside and you have that X amount of money. But when you save that, when you invest that money, you are supposed to earn something extra in the future. That's what investment is about. If you have no savings, then you cannot invest. Investments comes from savings. Okay? If you consume something, you cannot invest that money. If you save something, then you can invest. Many times they assume savings to be equals to investment. This will come in the future, and mainly in A levels, where we're going to talk about that savings is equals to investment, because investment comes from saving. So if investment is going up, okay, if investment is going up, that means savings went up. And if savings went up, probably your consumption had to go down, considering your income remained the same. Okay, so you reduce your current consumption in order to save more, and with that savings, you can invest and hope to earn more in the future. So you give up the current consumption for that. So that's your savings idea. And then you have borrowing. Now, as far as borrowing goes, borrowing is when an individual receives money from another individual or financial institution, banks mainly, financial institutions में, with the intention of paying it back. With the intention of paying it back. So that's what borrowing is. All right. And why do people borrow money? Borrowing for car, borrowing for house, borrowing for machines, depending on who is borrowing the money, etc. So you don't have the money right now, but you know that you can use that money to buy something and which can earn you something, and you can repay it back with interest, the additional money. So what we're going to discuss right now is factors that affects spending. Okay, what can make a person spending increase or decrease? Okay, now one factor could be income. Usually we see that when incomes rise, what's going to happen when income rise? Spending. Absolutely. So when income rise, spending rise. What else can make people spend more? Uh, More types of goods will increase consumer spending. All these different types of phones and cars and candies and chips. The more types of goods there are, the more consumer is likely to spend. Fall in the interest rate can increase borrowing and more spending. Okay, I'm going to underline this. Right, these are the factors which are going to have an impact on the consumer spending. In periods of rising inflation, like inflation, during inflation, when things are becoming more and more expensive, how do people act? So, during inflation, when things are becoming expensive, people tend to save money on the not so important goods. Okay, they're gonna put their spending off on those, and they're going to spend more on the essential. Okay, so this is what happens because important items you have to consume and they end up you have to buy them. Consumers spend more money on essential goods. So let's talk about factors that may affect savings. Why do people save? Okay. What are the factors that can impact a person's saving? Well, number one is income. Generally, what happens is that if income rises, then savings is likely to rise. Okay, because I will consume X amount, but I will still have more money left to save. Okay, then it depends on types of saving opportunities also. Back in the day, you used to save and put your money uh, in gold, properties, stocks. Now you have all these different savings accounts, different projects that you can save in. So if you have like more saving methods, then savings tend to rise. All these different ways of savings. Uh, उसके अलावा interest rate, of course, has a direct impact on people's saving. So if interest rate rises, then savings is likely to rise. Why? Because you see कि इंटरेस्ट रेट ज़्यादा मिलेगा, अभी मैं पैसे खर्च कर दूंगा तो ऑब्वियसली फिर उसकी अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. So might as well save whatever I can. तो इस तरह से we can do it. Okay, so these would be some of the savings. But obviously savings with the age also, the savings have an impact. फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे जैसे आपकी इनकम्स बढ़ती हैं, लाइक व्हेन यूर इन कॉलेज, तो तुम्हारे पास तो सेविंग्स तो हार्डली होगी, प्रॉब्ली यू हैव बोरोड मनी. In the West, it's very common that when you're working in the early years, your income is not enough to pay for your expenses. So you use a lot of credit cards and loans and liabilities, stuff like that. Like in the West, you take college money and things like that. तो फिर उससे आप आगे काम चलाते हो अपना. You borrow money to get educated, and once you get your job and your incomes are coming in, you have to pay those debts, and then eventually your incomes rise more than your consumption, and then you start saving for your retirements and things like that. So with the age factor, savings usually start later on, in your 30s and 40s and stuff like that. Okay, so there are factors which can have an effect on the savings. And then, why do people borrow money? Borrow के तो अलग अलग तरीके हैं. From the business point of view, it could be to get yourself machines and stuff which can earn you more in the future. And for consumers, it could be just, you know, like very low income people do not have enough money, तो फिर उनको जाके पैसे borrow करने पड़ते हैं for their day to day expense, and then they have lots of liabilities. So the next thing we're going to study is about income and expenditure patterns. This is where this savings, spending, and borrowing actual thing comes into consideration. So we're talking about income and expenditure patterns. So what I'll do is we're going to make a grid. So they've done studies in different countries, and it shows that the proportion of income that people spend depends on the size of their incomes. Okay, so we're going to make a table to show. So we're going to divide the size of the income in mainly three groups. One is your high income group, okay, high income households. How is their spending pattern? Okay, so the way their spending works is that they are not likely to spend all their incomes. They're not likely to spend all of their incomes. And even from the proportion point of view, uh, they spend a small percentage of income on necessity, okay, and spend a large percentage of income on luxuries and non essential items, obviously. ठीक है? Because now, remember, they are consuming more in food, monetary wise. They're going to restaurants, they're going to expensive restaurants, they're consuming a lot of all of that, food items. Monetary wise, they're spending a large amount. लेकिन उनकी इनकम की परसेंटेज के हिसाब से it becomes a smaller percentage. Okay? As far as their saving goes, they will be able to save some of their incomes. ठीक है? As far as borrowing goes, we say they are unlikely to borrow, lekin they do borrow for like really expensive stuff. Okay, they may borrow for very expensive goods, like getting a yacht, or of course they can afford the yacht, SAP in cash, but you know, this way they'll be able to buy yachts and like villas in different countries and stuff, and they can easily make payments for those as well. So उनकी borrowing भी अगर होगी तो उस तरह की होगी, otherwise uh, not much. Now that was high income. Then you have your middle income. Middle income is usually the working class in an economy, and usually what happens is that they spend they spend most of their incomes. जहाँ तक परसेंटेज इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्रोपोर्शन है नेसेसिटी एंड लग्जरी का, वी से दैट they have a large percentage of spending on necessity and smaller percentage of spending on luxury. Okay, comparatively फूड आइटम्स और इसके ऊपर एक मेजॉरिटी रेंट के ऊपर, फ्यूल ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के ऊपर एक ज़्यादा बड़ा परसेंटेज स्पेंड होता है, और एक छोटा सा परसेंटेज होता है ईटिंग आउट एट रेस्टोरेंट्स एंड किड्स एंटरटेनमेंट्स एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट, परसेंटेज वाइज. फिर as far as their saving goes, they may be able to save a little, not too much, but little, थोड़ा सा रिटायरमेंट के लिए सेव कर लिया, बच्चों की एजुकेशन के लिए सेव कर लिया, ठीक है, कोई नई गाड़ी लेने के लिए सेव कर लिया, स्टफ लाइक दैट. And from the borrowing perspective, this is the part of this is the segment of the economy which tends to borrow. ये जितने भी ये घर की बोरोइंग हो रही होती है, गाड़ियों के लिए बोरो कर रहे होते हैं, ये जितनी भी लीजिंग है, मॉर्गेजेस हैं, ये मेनली मिडिल इनकम वालों की वजह से होता है. Because these people have decent incomes, they can't afford, they don't have enough money to afford everything instantly, but they have enough income कि उस इनकम को कमाया, उसका थोड़ा सा हिस्सा पेमेंट्स के अंदर निकल गया, गाड़ी की पेमेंट्स के अंदर थोड़ा सा निकल गया, घर की पेमेंट के अंदर. तो ड्यूरेबल आइटम्स, वी से ड्यूरेबल आइटम्स के अंदर मेनली. तो एक सोसाइटी की मिडिल इनकम अगर बड़ी है और स्ट्रॉन्ग है, तो उसकी स्पेंडिंग कंजम्पशन ऑन कार्स, हाउसेस, डीप फ्रीजर्स एंड फ्रिजेस एंड इन चीज़ों के ऊपर बढ़ जाती है, इवन लैपटॉप्स एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. दैट्स व्हाई अ लॉट ऑफ कंट्रीज फ़ोन कंपनीज भी उनको अच्छी अच्छी ऑफर्स देते हैं कि इंस्टॉलमेंट के ऊपर यू कैन बाय दीज फोन्स एंड स्टफ. नाउ द लास्ट वन दैट यू हैव इज द लो income households. With them, most likely they will most probably spend all their income and this may not cover all their needs. They're still short of money. Generally, what happens with them is that they spend entire percentage of income on necessities. They don't have money for luxuries per se. ठीक है. फिर जहाँ तक इनकी सेविंग्स है, they usually are not able to save. Either they're going to spend all of it or they will be in the borrowing situation, low incomes के साथ. As far as their borrowing goes, we say many of low income households will need to borrow to meet their needs. इनके साथ मसला यह होता है, it's difficult for them to borrow also, because they don't have much assets, right? The banks will not be willing to borrow them money because they know कि ये वैसी proper, uh, they're not able to save anything and they're already spending all of their income. How will they be able to pay us back? ठीक है? So that's why they find it difficult to borrow money also.